we can all tell that my hair looks bad today. I don't see that there's any particular need to comment on it. Happy Friday, welcome back to Drinking by Myself. My name is Emma and today I am doing a reaction video of sorts. A little while ago, who knows how long, what even is time, I did a try a chapter tag video where I was lying on the floor because I had no energy to sit up. And I read the first chapter of basically every single book on my TBR. I have not read all those books, obviously, but I have now read 6 of the books that I judged the first chapters of, so I thought that would be a good number to go back, see what I said after reading the first chapter, like what my first impressions were, what I thought the book was going to be like, and see if I was right. See if I can trust my own first impressions. I don't remember how long ago this video was. I don't know how I'm going to find it. God, I talk a lot. Found it. This video is called Try a Chapter, but I'm on the floor. I will link to it below in case you want to go and watch the original one, but we're going to replay a lot of my impressions in here now. So, you know, you might as well stay here with me. Chill out. I think let's literally just dive in. So, what have I got here? Book number 1. This is The Dead Girls by Jorge Ibarguengoitia. It's here on my shelf. I still have it. That's a little bit of a spoiler because you know I don't keep books that I didn't like. The context of this is a book that I hauled and unhauled so many times before I read it. I didn't buy it all of those times. It's a book that is published by the company where I work, so I brought it home from work one time, but then I was going to read it and then I decided against it and sent it back to the office. One of my colleagues had read it and she gave me her copy and I held on to that for ages and then put it back on the shelf in the office. I kept wanting to read it and then just not getting round to it, so I finally decided to read it after this video. Okay, let's see what I said. Okay. It wasn't like the most engaging first chapter of the whole world, but I should have mentioned at the beginning of this, I hate starting books, so this video is basically going to be torture for me because I basically always hate the first chapter because I'm like, who are these people? Why am I here? You know, I'm interested in reading the rest of the book, so that one is not for the unhaul pile. It'll go back on the trolls. I'm sorry for saying trolls, I really, really, truly am. I don't think you really, truly are, Emma. Okay, so as I revealed, I do still have this book, which means that I haven't unhauled it after reading it. Any book that I rate 3 stars or lower, there are going to be a few exceptions, even I think in this video, usually any book that I rate 3 stars or lower, I unhaul, because I try to just keep books that I really enjoyed on my shelf. This one, I might downgrade this to a 3-star. So it took me a little while to get into. As you can see from that, I didn't find the opening chapter like the most engaging thing in the world. I did then get into the book and I did find it very compelling. It's based on a true story. It's written in this very dry way about pretty horrific things going on. These sisters who are running a brothel and the girls keep dying at these brothels. They're not being looked after. So it went to a really dark place. I was enjoying it, but then it kind of just fizzled out in a way that really let me down. So I think I finished and gave it 4 stars because I had been enjoying it, but it was, to be honest, for me personally, kind of forgettable. So I might actually downgrade this one and possibly unhaul it. What's next? Oreo. Okay. By Fran. This is what I'm kind of nervous about. I think it's going to be too clever for me. I think I'm just like not going to get it. But I am willing to give it a go. It's funny. Fantastic. Going on the trolley. It's all just told in this very like fast, matter-of-fact, very funny way. I'm into it. I can't believe I didn't do this before I did the 5-star predictions video. I'm already putting this in my 5-star predictions. Okay, so I cannot remember the last time a book disappointed me this much. I really, really thought this was going to be 5 stars. That first chapter was so good. It was so funny. The first whole section of the book was really, really funny, where we're learning about the parents of the girl who's going to go on to become the main character. She's not really in the story. As soon as she was introduced into the story, I completely lost interest. You saw me saying that I was worried it was going to be too clever for me, and it was. The jokes just went over my head the whole way through, and in the beginning I found it accessible and silly enough to have a good time. Even if I didn't get everything, even if I knew there were references I was missing, I was still having such a good time. As the book went on, I just completely lost the plot. I ended up giving that one 2 stars instead of 5 stars, and I do not have it anymore. It was a sad, sad book tale. Alrighty. Chapter number 3. Oh, this is Girl in Snow. Okay, so this is going to be a mystery novel about a high school student who is found murdered. Oh, that's some small writing. Oh, okay, that was a good first chapter. So yeah, like I said, a high school student has been found dead, and I think we're going to meet a few different characters and like hear a few different perspectives. This was just from this boy Cameron, who it's unclear what relationship he actually had with Lucinda, but he was kind of obsessed with her because he has all these drawings of her. So yeah, definitely intrigued. That was a good, accurate first impression. I really enjoyed that book. I still have it. Can I bother to stand up? Is it close enough? Thank goodness, I don't have to stand up. It's right here. That's upside down. It's here. Girl in Snow. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars in the end. So it is a murder mystery, like I said, but it's actually way more of a character study. So it's kind of interesting that in that first impression I was mostly talking about Cameron as a character rather than the mystery of what had happened to this girl, because that kind of remains the case the whole way through the book. So the plot is being driven by the murder mystery and the investigation, but actually we are alternating between 3 characters: Cameron, who I just described, a girl called Jade, who like really hated Lucinda, the girl who got murdered, and a police officer called Russ, who is assigned to the case to investigate. And really it's just a character study of these 3 people. The character of Lucinda, the murdered girl, is much, much less important. I found it really eerie and sad and beautiful, but also the intrigue that I was feeling from that first chapter, definitely the book was satisfying enough for that. So it's literary fiction rather than like a thriller, like a crime novel, but it still gives you enough of the crime that you feel satisfied by the end. I highly rate this one. Alright, next up, bitch. Hummingbird by Tristan Hughes. So this one, the context for this is I did this Mr. B's experience. I've talked about this quite a lot on the channel. It was really, really fun where you like go to a bookseller, you go to a bookshop called Mr. B's and you have a bookseller who like sits and chats to you and you drink tea and you talk about books and then they recommend you a stack of books. And I ended up buying a bunch of books on this recommendation. I still super recommend the service. I just did like a free trial version for a video rather than the full one, so it was a very abbreviated conversation. So obviously it was much more of a challenge for the bookseller to try and get my taste like nailed down without having the full conversation. And unfortunately I hadn't loved any of the books so far that I'd bought. I just bought 4. This was the 4th book, so I had like a lot of high hopes pinned that I was gonna love this one. That one I feel like I would struggle to get into, but I also like want to keep this one because it's the last one from the Mr. B's collection and I just like really want to give that a full chance. So I'm going to put this one into my like maybe pile. Nothing in that first chapter really enchanted me, but you know, first chapters never do. That's so interesting that I said that nothing had enchanted me in that first chapter and that I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't for the Mr. B's thing, because nothing enchanted me throughout the rest of the book. I read the whole thing. I mean, luckily it was just a short book, but it was boring AF. I really want to actually go and pay for the full Mr. B's service, so I'm considering treating myself with that at one point, because I really like believe in their service. I think it would be amazing. I just think it didn't quite work out doing the shortened version that I did, because really bad luck that I didn't enjoy any of those books, but that one was just so boring. I think the problem was I said in my conversation I love books where nothing happens, which I do, but then we didn't really get a chance to like expand that out. And this was too much a book where nothing happens. Like, nothing happens. Should have DNF'd it. Okay, next up, we have a proof. Magma by Thora Hjorliefsdottir. Okay, so Magma, again, a really small little book. You could maybe see that. That is a book about a young woman in an emotionally abusive relationship with an older man, and it's told through these really short chapters. They're like a page each, which I believe I'm about to discover in this video and then slightly not know what to do about the whole try a chapter thing. Oh, it's like a super short first chapter. It's just 1 page. I'm going to read the next chapter, which I think is also just 1 page, and chapter 3. Oh god, they keep going. I think maybe it's just going to be super short the whole way through. It is! Okay, I should stop. Yeah, I think I'm going to like that one. It's already just like, this guy's a creep. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that kind of sums up the whole of the book. I did enjoy this one. I thought it was very dark and creepy and compelling. For me, I ended up being kind of unconvinced by the ending, which is why I think I didn't love this one as much as I potentially could have. But it's a really, really readable book. I would definitely recommend giving it a go. It took me like 45 minutes to read. I mean, it's really, really short, just like one-page chapters, and it's very creepy. It shows how easily you can get sucked in to that kind of relationship. So I thought that the author did a really good job of what she was trying to convey. She really did convey that in a very upsetting way. So our main character is a strong young woman, so it kind of shows that anyone can get into these relationships and find themselves trapped there. So yeah, it was really good. It was really good. It didn't like absolutely blow me away, but it was good. I think I just have one more in here that I have read.
Number whatever we are. Oh, it's a big one.
And it's this
It's
one.
a chunky one. Oh, this is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I mean, I think I definitely am going to read this. One of my colleagues read it, and she said it was weird. Did she say it was good weird or just weird weird? Don't remember.
I remember. She said it was just weird.
This is creepy. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one. I realise I don't know what it's about. You think you know what's inside the last house on Needless Street. You think you've read this story before. In the dark forest at the end of Needless Street, something lies buried, but it's not what you think. What is this about? I have no idea, but I'm going to read it.
Okay, so my first impression didn't help much. I read the first chapter, still didn't know what it was about. I would say that I continued to read about 2/3 of the book and still didn't know what it was about. Hang on, this is one of the ones that I do have. Here it is. And this is another of those exceptions I was talking about because I rated this book 3 stars. Hang on, I'm going to take my earphones out. I don't need those anymore. Okay, I rated this book 3 stars, but I haven't unhauled it because I want to read it again. So that's a good enough reason to keep it. This book had a very, very good ending, and I think that what this book did, the tropes that it defied, the representation that it explored, was really, really clever. And this is a book that I keep wanting to tell people about, but you can't without spoilers, so I just keep wanting to talk to someone else who's read it. I think what the author was doing was really interesting, and reading the author's note at the end, I just really respected that, and it's made me really want to go back and read it again with that knowledge. However, it was just a 3 stars for me the first time round because I did not know what was going on for so much of the book, and not in the good way. It was just weird. It was written in a weird way. You get these different perspectives. None of the perspectives make any sense. They're not characters who make sense to you. I could not follow their motivations. I could not follow what they were doing. I could not understand what they were thinking. One of them was a cat. It was just completely absurd. So I found this book really, really frustrating, and most of the time I was reading it, I was really considering DNFing it because it was just driving me up the wall. But I'm gonna do this to myself again. I'm gonna have to go back into the beginning and read it again because with what I know now, I think I might see it differently. And I do really respect what this book did. So you know what? I think that my first impressions overall were pretty accurate. The Dead Girls, my first impression was it's fine, and overall I thought the book was fine. Oreo, I was very wrong. My first impression was I was going to love it, and I did not love it. So, Hummingbird, my first impression was meh, and I thought the book was meh. Girl in Snow, my first impression was intriguing, and I thought the book was intriguing. Magma, my first impression was that it was going to be good and I was going to like it, and it was good and I liked it. And finally, Last House on Needless Street, my first impression was what the fuck is going on, and my final impression was what the fuck is going on. So with that one exception, I seem to be amazingly good at first impressions of books. So with that, I'm going to go judge more books and then read them because I seem to have a knack for it. Go and watch the original video and let me know from those first impressions which ones you think that I should read next. See you next time!
Yeah, I don't really like you, but I try to so I can have fun. I just roll around town with a